Where does Unaccountable rank in your top 3 favorite podcasts?
1.
Right answer already. Do you want to make $10,000 today? Do you want to lose 20 pounds in the next month? Do you want to be well-liked and respected by all your peers? We can't help you with that. You've come to the wrong place. But if you do want to earn an hour of CPE credit for listening to this episode, right after you finish, head on over to the Earmark app, take a short 5-question quiz, and you earn 1 hour of CPE just for listening to us. Happy quizzing! Welcome to Unaccountable, the world's okayest accounting game show podcast for product news, updates, and education. I'm your old reliable host, Tyler Otto, and guess who's back? Back again. Ian, hit us with the clip.
Yeah.
Jeremy Van Roll.
Guess who's back?
Back again. Oh, love it. Hey, sir, holidays were good. I would say I missed you, but that would be overstating. I kind of missed you. How are you?
I'm honestly, dude, all things considered, tons of ups, tons of downs, and I don't know, I'm excited about my firm. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm down 8 pounds since like early December. Nice. I'm good.
Nice. So I did the 75 hard, lost 30 pounds, I gained 10 back during the whole time. So we may be going at it again here shortly.
So you and I might do one of these, or I guess, yeah.
Yeah, the graphs will crisscross. So your stated goal, was to have the episode where I could not make it, and I appreciate Kirsten so much for filling in, to have that be our number 1 episode. Have you looked to see how that's trending yet?
I have looked at the stats, and Jeremy, we need to permanently get rid of you. No, I'm just kidding. I think Kirsten was at a disadvantage, actually, because the episode dropped on New Year's Day. It was actually the least listened to episode on day 1 ever, like to a point that I think just the fact it was January 1st destroyed the day 1 listens. Since then, it's recovered. Everyone's caught up in its normal listening stats. But I felt bad because I was so excited to go in and be like, look, Jeremy. And I was like, oh, womp womp. But also, we got the end of year bump. Our stats, like the last week of the year, people were cramming CE. I'll tell you what.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah. I love it. Nice. So now we got to reach out to the sponsors with our numbers, right? And be like, hey, look at all this.
And only present the December numbers. Yes.
Perfect. And I can't wait to tell Kirsten, least listen to first day ever.
Yeah. And Jeremy, I have so many questions for you I want to ask you about, like your trip and like disconnecting from your business for 2 to 3 weeks, and the fact that Australia and New Zealand let you into their borders, like so many concerns or questions. But dare I say we table that, because we have an excellent guest today.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, would you be offended if we table that?
No, let's get into it.
Jeremy, back to having guests now that you're back in town, sir. And I am so excited for our next guest. I don't know what I'm allowed to say here or not, but like he and I first started our friendship because we were at a conference that won't be named, and the open bar hadn't opened yet. Somehow he and I just decided to sneak behind and grab beers before they opened. Everyone else is like, where did you get those? We don't know. And that's how this friendship started. So I am excited to welcome to the podcast the one of the co-founders of TriMerit, the creator of Bridging the Gap Conference. He's been on every panel, board of advisors, Intuit, Tax Suite, like everything you can imagine. The man, the myth, the legend, Randy Crabtree. Welcome to the show, sir.
Well, thank you. That's a big buildup. Pretty much all that means is I'm old and I've been around a long time. So,
you know what, though? You give us goals to get old. You know, it sounds wonderful now. You were listing off the list of luxurious places you're headed here soon talking. That's the dream.
And in case you're watching the YouTube feed or wherever you're getting it, the oldest man has the most hair by far.
Very good point. I think he has more than you and I combined. This is amazing. Right? Randy, I mean, we're going to get into so much about what you got going on in the world, but as far as, you know, anyone else out there, like, just how would you describe Randy Crabtree in 30 seconds? Because aside from me saying you are probably one of my favorite accounting speakers, like, who is the man, the myth?
I'm somebody that's super passionate about people in the accounting profession, and this is going to sound like I practiced this. I didn't. I want to improve the lives of people in accounting by inspiring change.
Well, Randy, I am sure you respect yourself too much to have ever listened to an episode of our show, but we're going to run you through a game that we call Fast Figures, where we're going to put a minute on the clock, 10 questions, all answers are numbered, and we'll see how you do. We'll give you a second to think about it while we play the intro.
Welcome to Fast Figures. 10 questions, 1 minute-ish. All answers are numbers. The game starts now.
Are you ready, sir?
I'm nervous.
1 minute on the clock. Here we go. What day in January must all 1099 NECs be postmarked?
31st.
Name any year that Michael Jordan won an NBA championship.
88.
To the nearest minute, how long is the 1983 classic song Karma Chameleon by Culture Club?
4 minutes.
Homer's Odyssey covers the journey of Odysseus over his 20-year journey away from home. Within 5, how many books are in that 20-year series?
5.
Within 5, what is the maximum number of years federal R&D tax credits can be carried forward?
20.
Single-digit answer here, but for a medieval knight, how many vulnerable points were there in their armor for others to exploit?
7.
In the oldie but goodie musical, The Music Man, how many trombones led the big parade?
21.
Where does Unaccountable rank in your top 3 favorite podcasts?
1.
Right answer already. In the automotive burnout competition, how many tires on a car need to be changed after every single competition?
2.
According to very limited internet research by myself, what was the highest valued item in the Antique Roadshow, which was a pocket watch that eventually sold for how much? 1.5 million, 2.5 million, or just $500,000?
1.5.
Not too bad, sir, for someone that said they were scared.
I get 0?
No, I'm going to spoil the ending right now, but you didn't go over on this. All right, Randy, let's recap through this, see how I did, and also learn a little bit about Mr. Crabtree. First off, what day in January must all 1099 NECs be postmarked? You correctly said the 31st, and I just wanted to start you off with a softball. Nice, easy one, but I also wanted to remind...
that was hard for me.
It's going downhill from here. I just also wanted to remind everyone listening, do not wait till the 31st. Get those in now. Just tell your clients, get it done. One other, just because I had to, but name a year that Michael Jordan won an NBA championship. You said 88. I'm sorry. 91, 92, 93.
Oh, it was 90s. It was 90s. I'm in the wrong decade.
96, 97, 98. Any of them would have worked. I'm just a Utah Jazz fan and bitter when I talk to anyone who's from Illinois because y'all just ruined my childhood. So,
Go
all right.
West. I like it.
Yeah, y'all would.
That was an epic fail there for me. I knew it was 90s.
No worries. All right, let's get on to some actual accounting merit, which isn't in the question. But to the nearest minute, how long is the 1983 classic song Karma Chameleon by Culture Club? You correctly said 4 minutes. It's either like 3:58 on the shortcut, 4:12 on the long cut. Either way, you're right. And Randy, first of all, Accounting Today Growth Forum, I got to see you speak this last year, and you talked like crazy about culture. Now, I don't think it was Boy George and Culture Club, though I think you could have given that presentation dressed as Boy George. But you spoke at length about the importance of company culture. Can you distill down into the elevator pitch 2-minute version of what that has meant in your firm and why you focus so heavily on it?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of people are not job titles. They are what they do outside of work. And so whether your passion's outside of work, if you get to know the people you work with on a personal level, it just increases everything that you're doing with them. They're happier, clients get service better. When people feel valued, they feel appreciated, they feel seen, they feel supported. It just accelerates everything. I get annoyed. I'm going to rant for 1 second.
Go for it.
I get annoyed. I'm get annoyed when, I should say annoyed. That's a strong word. But I'll say it. I get annoyed when people say, "Hey, we're a client first focused firm, or clients are the most important thing," and the clients are serviced, in my opinion, and it's historically it's worked for us when you put your people first. That everything else falls into line, and I'll die on my sword go with that one.
You had some excellent slides in that presentation, even talking about like 78% of respondents were highly satisfied with career paths outside of the partner track, which most of us think anyone comes into the firm, they want equity, they want that top level. And you're proving it all wrong, that no, people just want a place they enjoy.
Yeah, there's not as many people that are interested in the partner track, but where we lack, where we have problems, is we don't have a well-defined track. I'm not saying us, and just in general in the profession, a well-defined track when partner isn't the goal for somebody. And when we can lean into that, when we can have this path defined for where you can go that isn't partner, that satisfaction levels just go through the roof then.
So this is one of the few things that I think I've done well with my firm, is setting the culture. But as growth, it gets harder for me, because there's only so many people that you can know and build that relationship with. How do you instill that within the next line of people, right? Like your managers down from you and the managers down from them, as you kind of expand out.
There's only so much Jeremy to go around.
That's right.
And you know what? We can only handle so much Jeremy anyway, so we got to be careful on that. So
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is we do this in a remote environment. We're about 65 people. We're fully remote. I shouldn't say fully. We have an office in Chicago, but nobody has to go there, and really nobody does go there. Like once a week or so, there's somebody there. So what we do is, just when we're on, like you and I are on now, you mean plural, the yous, and I are on.
Yous guys.
Yous guys are on with me right now. We just don't start a call with, okay, give me an update on where we are on that project. We start a call with, hey, how was the weekend? How are things going? I heard that you went camping this weekend. Let me know about it. See, and so we can do that on every single call. If we can do that, then we just model that behavior that, hey, this is how you start. It's not, you are the important part of what's going on here, not that job right now. That job will come into play. And so another thing we've done in addition to that, just starting, and we haven't done it as much lately, and I'm a little disappointed. We need to start this up again. But when we do have team calls, so whatever, we have multiple teams within the organization. What we would do is we started doing it with every single weekly call, and then we ended up going like once a month, because it was just, we started repeating through people, but somebody got the 10 minutes at the end to do a show and tell on who they are. It was just, and they had the ability to, it's a slideshow. They can, they can pick up their cat and show it in the camera. They can, play a guitar. They could do whatever they wanted, just to like let everybody know who they are. And so if you just start integrating things like that into your culture, even in, I hear it all the time, I can't, remote environment, we have to get to the office because we can't create culture. No, you can create culture in a remote environment. And that's just one way we've done it.
Like I will cancel every other thing that we have planned for this, because I want to keep digging into this one. Even the rest of the questions, we'll just give you full marks. But if you feel like, so I'm from the Midwest too, so I'm just south of Green Bay, Appleton, Wisconsin.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you feel like there are people, and I'm not trying to generalize here, that can't align with this, right? And I'm going to say generally, like on the coasts and even more East Coast, where we've tried to bring people in, and it just doesn't make sense to them. And it's so hard for me, is like, why do you not want to do this? I don't get it.
You Midwesterners want a potluck supper every meeting.
Yeah, we want the long Midwest goodbyes. And,
exactly. Yeah. So I've seen that too. I agree. East Coast maybe more than West Coast. I've seen that, and understandable. It's just a different pace of living maybe. But where I've seen it as much or even more so is people my age. The older you are, I'm a boomer. I'm at the end of the boomers, but I'm a boomer. And when I started doing my presentations on people first culture or mental health awareness or whatever it is, the old white guy in the room, if we're going to stereotype and generalize, would ask me the question, well, I can't do that. How am I going to train somebody when they can't see what I'm doing when I'm talking to the client, when we're at the client's office? And my first thought was, and I often end up saying this, clients don't want you in their office anymore. It's just not going to be the way they want it. They don't want that time. They want to have this where they can get in and out and get the information, still build a relationship with them. But yeah, for more, and sorry for all the boomers out there that don't identify with what I just said, but that's where I have seen it, and it has been in the generations as much as the coast. But like you said, I have seen it East Coast as well more too.
Yeah. Don't worry about offending the boomers. I mean, a subset of boomers that listen to an accounting game show predicated on fart jokes is very small. So
okay, understandable. Well, I'm enjoying it. So I love it.
Next question. Homer's Odyssey covers the journey of Odysseus in his 20-year journey away from home. Within 5, how many books? You said 5. The correct answer, 24 books. And that is one hell of a journey over 20 years away from home. But Randy Crabtree has also had the journey of 20 years of running a firm. And if you had to distill down to the best chapter, the best book that you would highlight for someone in your journey of building Tri-Merit, starting it, to now being the man that does whatever the heck he wants with his time, like, what chapter would you highlight for the firm owner out there to read and learn from?
So, you want me to name a real book, or do you want me to name
a chapter in your life?
Yeah,
in the journey.
All right. So for me, and I talk about this a lot, is when I decided, or I chose, or I realized that managing partner was not the role that I was meant for, and it took a long time. It was 10 years into Tri-Merit. I actually had a generalist accounting firm for 17 years before that. And then when I started Tri-Merit, 10 years into it, the first 10 years I was managing partner, because I had tricked myself into believing that should be my role. I started this firm. I have to be the managing partner of this firm. And then when I stepped back and I realized that, if I look at things honestly, is this my passion? Is this my skill? Is this where the best use of my time is? And I had to be honest with myself and say, no, it's not. And so that chapter, that moment where I had to say, I'm not equipped for this role. I don't enjoy this role. This is a role that I need to step down from. That started the path where pretty much I get to do whatever I want now, as you just said, Tyler. So that for me, but it also, not to stop there, it actually had a huge positive impact on our organization, because I think vulnerable leadership is one of the key things that leaders can have, and showing vulnerable side of you and being able to admit that I'm in the wrong position really freed people up to say the same thing. This is what I like. Can I go over here? Here's where I want to be. Can I change to this? And that made a huge impact from a standpoint that when I gave that up, we were probably 12, 15 people. And today, like I said, we're 65 people. That growth's happened in the last, 8, 9 years now. And it's been very significant growth, but it's because people have been it's a term that I thought I coined, but I thought I heard it somewhere else recently too. It's living at the intersection of your passions and your skills. And that's where I've lived now for the last 8 years. And that's why nothing feels like work to me, because I love what I'm doing and I'm doing what I'm good at.
Giving us life goals, Randy. Next question. Within 5, you didn't even need within 5. What is the maximum number of years of federal R&D tax credits can be carried forward? Hitting the nail on the head, 20. And Jeremy and I both specialize in niches. I do a lot of hospitality accounting, hotels, restaurants. Jeremy, his company is nonprofit bookkeeping. Wonder what they do. You guys don't even have an industry niche, but you just go out there and say, hey, R&D, cost segs, work opportunity tax credits. What has specializing in even just specific tax forms allowed you guys to do in the market? Like, most people would assume that would limit their amount of work by saying we only do this. And you guys have said, no, this is what we do.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of collaboration. This is a term. This is my term of 26 is collaboration. I'll be saying that a lot at our conference, which you may ask me about later. So I won't.
Oh, it's coming.
Now. All right. But when you do that, it's for us. It's been huge because what we can do is we can share our knowledge. We can educate on people, the industry, the profession, on what these things are. R&D tax credits. It's easy for me to educate on what an R&D tax credit is, but it's really difficult for someone to try to qualify, quantify, document, and support an R&D tax credit. So when you go out and educate, it frees educate and then team up with somebody, an accounting firm that needs our support. It frees them up to live at their intersection of their passions and their skills, because there's other things they love doing. They're going to be, if they try to do their own R&D tax credit, they're going to be doing one off or a two off. And that's a total waste of their time. And they're not going to get it right, honestly, because it is very complicated. And so if they can team up, and it's not even with us, with whoever on R&D or a salt expert or somebody that has, you got a new client that is in hospitality and you don't know hospitality. Well, Tyler does. So team up with Tyler on this. And so collaboration, I think, is such an important aspect that we ignore, I think, sometimes in this profession, because as accountants, our mindset is it's our client. We have to do everything. We have to help them. We have to have all the answers there. And that's why we get into burnout as well, too. But we have to do all these things. I am going to be spending this whole year promoting the importance of collaborating with others within the profession, building these relationships, being part of a community where you can have others you can reach out to. And that's been a huge impact for us. And that's how we built this firm.
I think when I started doing tax advisory, I thought I had to be everything to every client. And then when you realize, no, someone specializes in IRS dispute resolution, someone specializes in COSEC, someone specializes in everything, and you just get to play quarterback. Oh my gosh, the world's a greater place.
Oh yeah. No, it is. This is one thing that's gonna, if we want to make this profession the best it could be, this is something we all have to lean into. Even large firms can't do everything. And so we just need to figure this out.
I love it. With next question, single digit answer, but for a medieval knight, how many vulnerable points were in their armor to exploit? The official answer online, they gave a window. It was 5 to 8. Again, limited research. You said 7. The joints, the armpits, the groin, the neck, the eye slits. But you preach, yeah, I know, right? You preach as well about the importance of vulnerability. And when I hear the word vulnerable, I think of a weak point in a knight's armor. Like, I'm going to get attacked. Like, I can't be vulnerable. But you go on to preach about not only the importance of a vulnerability, but being a vulnerable leader, which you argue is different. Can you expand on this and what that difference is?
Yeah, so I read a really good book by Jacob Morgan, and I think it's just called Leading with Vulnerability. It was after I was already passionate about, this whole vulnerable genre, or I don't know if that's the right term, but the point of vulnerable leadership. And in there, he had a really good definition of, okay, here's vulnerability. I go to you two and I say, hey, I'm working on this project. I made a huge mistake. And I'm being vulnerable there. But now I go to you two and I say, hey, I'm working on this project. I made this huge mistake. This is what I've learned from it. And here's how we can not make this mistake in the future. Now I'm taking that vulnerability. Hey, yes, I made a mistake. And I'm admitting it's okay to say you made a mistake. But now here's what I learned from it. And now I want to share that knowledge with you. So hopefully you can avoid the same mistake I made. That gets more to vulnerable leadership. And so for me, being able to admit that you don't have all the answers, like we were just talking about, hey, I have to do everything for my client. No, you can say, it's okay to say, I don't know that, but I do know somebody that can help with this, and let's connect you with them. Or just going and saying, my workload is too big. I just can't handle it right now. I need help with this. How are we going to fix this? People aren't going to be afraid to say those things if you're not, as a leader, afraid to say, I struggle with this. I've had the problem with this. I don't know the answer to this. And when you do that, I mean, if you look at the statistics out there, there's plenty of studies. Organizations that have vulnerable leadership built into their organizations just thrive. I mean, how can you, if you're afraid to make a mistake, how can you have any innovation in that organization? If you have no innovation in that organization, no creativity in an organization, you're flatline at best, and you're going to get passed by. And if you're a leader that doesn't, think you have to be the stoic leader that always has all the answer, always is perfect, no one can live up to that. And they're going to try, and they're going to try by not trying new things. And so that's just one aspect of vulnerable leadership. I can name about 10 that it has a positive impact on, but that alone, I think, is a perfect reason to be able to show your vulnerable side.
I mean, that's worth the price of admission for your conference coming up here, which you are correct. We will tease. I don't know if you realize with that word roadshow on Antique Roadshow question. So
I did not. Nice.
We'll get there. But next question, in the oldie but goodie musical, The Music Man, how many trombones led the big parade? You said some random number, 21. It was 76. And I needed an answer that was 76 because, Randy, can I share my screen for a second and share some audio? And you may say, Tyler, cut this from the episode. And you know what? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But this statistic really stuck with me from this conference for several reasons.
High. Second highest level of satisfaction. I told you we were going to expand on this, and we're going to expand on this because this is one that I get super passionate about. If I know the people I work with, satisfaction levels are 76, not sex. What's wrong with me today? What am I thinking? I've gone from home too long, I guess.
First of all, greatest audio clip on the internet by far. Thank you, Accounting Today, for recording this conference. But also, the stat is legit as well. 76% of employees higher satisfaction when their boss knows about their personal lives. Yeah. Now, aside from your Freudian slip, which you enjoyed way too much of leading into, dare I say, this always felt like crossing a line. Coming from corporate, this was crossing a boundary that HR said you have no right in your employees' lives. You're saying, on the other hand, this leads to job satisfaction.
Yep. Yeah, it is something I've always lived. In fact, when I first got into public accounting, which was actually my third career. My first two were very short. I was a computer programmer for a year, and then I was out in sales for a year because I thought that's where the big money was. But then I went into public accounting, went back to school full time, and got my enough hours to take the exam. When I did that, when I got to that first firm, and when I went to that first firm, my thought process was, I'm going to start my own firm in 4 years. And so I started taking notes. What do I like as an employee? What don't I like as an employee? In the organization I work for, the firm I work for, we were all friends. We got to know each other on a personal level. I mean, these guys, I would go play flag football with them on the weekend. We would go out to eat all the time. We would talk about family and friends and everything. And that just was made such a great atmosphere to be working in. And to this day, that was in 1987, I think, 88. I'm still friends with those two partners that ran that firm. And that is such a, and I can name their kid. Well, I know the number of kids. Could I name their names? I think I could. I could. It's been a long time. I'm getting old.
It's Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I think you're confusing things.
But they're awesome. I mean, I sound like I'm praying. I get recognition in this profession, and every time I do, I've reached out to those guys and I say, hey, this is because of you. I got this because of the lessons you taught me and the relationships that we build over the years. And so it started from day one. I took the notes on that and I decided I've got to make sure that this is part of everything I do. And just to go a step further, if you haven't read the book by John Garrett, What You're And, you have to read the book, What You're And, because that's a great lesson in the importance of getting to know the people you work with on a personal level.
All right, adding it to my list right now.
I,
All right, Randy, we'll go through this quick because I don't want to waste your time. Next question, you nailed. Where does Unaccountable rank in your top 3 favorite podcasts? You said number 1, and Jeremy, we have that audio clip now, so let's run with it. Post
yeah,
it
we're going to
everywhere.
use that all the time.
Where does Unaccountable rank in your top 3 favorite podcasts?
1.
Yeah. All right. And then last 2. So first off, in an automotive burnout competition, how many tires need to be changed after every single competition? They say 2 tires, like they're going through them. The longest recorded burnout continuously, 83 minutes, guys. Who'd have thought?
Holy cow.
But another type of burnout is what you are a big fan of speaking about, which is the burnout in our profession of accountants who just are leaving because we're still doing things the old model, the old way.
Yep.
You know, what if you are leading the charge this year, what is on your banner to help end burnout in accountants?
If I had to pick one thing, the billable hour. I think valuing ourselves based on the amount of time we spend working on something is what it creates that burnout. It when we go back to vulnerable leadership, why am I going to be innovative? Why am I going to be efficient if I'm going to be judged based on the number of hours I put in rather than the output I create, the value I create for my clients? I was just having this conversation yesterday with somebody who was in their organization, and the first year, I think he was maybe made a partner or a manager. He basically, what was the story? His revenue was 50% higher than the projection. So his revenue was through the roof. It was he blew his numbers out of the lake, out of the, what is the term? Out of the
Water.
Water. I was close. Lake.
Out of Lake Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he was telling me the story. He was all excited for that review after doing this. He became so efficient and got things done quickly. And he got into that review, and the first thing that they said, how are you going to make up those 300 hours that you didn't bill? He billed $1.5 million when he was supposed to bill $1 million, but he didn't charge enough hours to those projects. He could have just padded his time and they would have raved about it. So we've got to stop valuing our output based on hours. That's number 1. We do that, everything else will start to fall in line.
I love that. And honestly, Jeremy, that's why I'm happy neither you or I have billable hours. Go team, go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our last question, and dare I say this is going to lead right into halftime.
Are you a solo bookkeeper owner or just starting to build your team? Then you need to check out our friends at bookkeepers.com. I know what you're thinking. Jeremy, you and Tyler went through this program and you guys are inept at best, but thousands of students have gone through there and actually created fantastic firms and the freedom that they've been looking for in their lives. So, a couple options that they have out there right now: the Digital Bookkeepers Association, low price. Not only does this let you learn or teach you how to scale your business, especially if you're hiring for the first time, they have bi-weekly experts come in and lead all sorts of topics with questions that you have out there. The other thing I love about this is that they have a directory of other members here where if they're not in your niche, you send them to this directory and they can find a quality accountant to work with them or bookkeeper. Other one, they are just started the AI bookkeeping membership, right? And I know AI's out there, but how do we start? This is the place to go, right? Give you the foundations, think about workflows, using AI tools, the training, again, recorded and live trainings, a private community where you can ask these questions. And as we've said so many times on the show, it's the community that gets you ahead faster. So please, if you're at that point, solopreneurs looking to grow your business, check out our friends at bookkeeper.com or email them at success@bookkeepers.com.
I'm calling it halftime of the show as we speak. But the final question, according to limited internet research, the highest valued item on Antique Roadshow was a pocket watch that sold for how much? You correctly guessed, $1.5 million. And speaking of road shows, Bridging the Gap, your conference hosted every year, last year in Denver, this year coming up in North Carolina?
Look at you. You know already. It hasn't even been officially announced yet. But yes.
But
Charlotte,
a quick
North
Google
Carolina.
search gets it out there. Tell us, like, first of all, what's going on with you touring the country, hanging out with Stats and friends, and then hosting coming up here this summer? This is your time to advertise, pitch, get us all there.
Yeah, first I have to yell at Jason Stats because I had this idea 3 years ago, and then he started his road show before I did. So that guy, no, I love Jason. And I've been to his road show, so he's done a great job.
I think you just beat him at Fast Figures, though.
Yes,
you got a better score than he did.
Nice. I'll send him a message when we're off of this and let him know that. So at last year's Bridging the Gap, like you said, was in Bridging the Gap, which was in Denver. I just saw this community that was being built there, and it's every year it's been doing that, but it was like through the roof this past year. And I challenged everybody to not let that community, that vibe, that connection die in those four walls when we left that day. And I thought, and I was thinking in my mind, okay, well, I'm challenging them to do this. I have to help facilitate that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Bridging the Gap on half-day road shows around the country, and we're going to help keep this community going, keep this vibe going, keep these connections, the collaborations. We'll go with all the C's: connections, community, collaborations. Keep them going, and help people in this profession. And so we started doing it. We did our first one in Philly last month. It was I was very, very happy with it for first one, and not even for first one for anyone. It was a huge success. We've got one coming up in San Francisco 2 weeks from today. We're recording on July. Wow, I'm getting ahead of myself. January 7th.
This will drop on the 15th, Jeremy, next Thursday. So it's soon,
right.
People.
Yeah. Well, everybody jump in your car, get on a plane, come to San Francisco for January 21st. And then we're doing one in Chicago, February 4th. We'll probably put a pause on them till after tax season. But it is actually titled, and that's why I threw the C's out there, community, connection, and collaboration. Let's get everybody together and let's support each other. And so it's been fun. I'm enjoying it.
And one thing I will say, of all the conferences I attend, like, Scaling New Heights, Intuit Connect, ZeroCon, Accounting Today, Firm Growth Forum, like, there's so many accounting conferences. I have never heard more people high on just a conference that cares about the health of accountants than people do about Bridging the Gap. It's a totally different vibe than the rest of them. Like, people come away buzzing for completely different reasons. You don't hear about what the latest tech or tools is. It's like, no, let's take back our lives as accountants. So you're doing something special and unique over there, sir.
Well, thank you. It is a passion of mine. I love this profession. I love the people in it, and I want them to see them to have the best possible lives they can. Actually, I was going to read you the tagline for this year, since we're announcing the podcast on your show. At the conference on your show.
Heck yes.
It is.
Wait. We want the full audio bite. You're announcing the conference, where and what. Sorry, we need it all.
All right. So Bridging the Gap 2026 is going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. The opening day will be July 28th. It'll run through the 30th. Arrival date will be July 27th, because we'll probably do an evening event that night. And the theme this year, or the title, is Bridging the Gap 2026, What's Next in Accounting? Where leadership, wellness, technology, and strategic partnerships drive sustainable growth.
Wow.
So wellness is the key to everything we're going to be talking about.
Two quick questions. Is one, you made better decisions in Accounting Today and are not having Tyler speak there, correct?
Well, our call for speakers went live about an hour ago, so Tyler has an opportunity to go submit.
Tyler's doing right after this call is going to hop out there. So you expect that, what time is it here? 2:37 Central. You'll have it by 3 in your inbox. Question 2 is, so like the Chicago, so I did not know you were doing a road tour. How do you sign up for the one in San Francisco? Or for me, Chicago, I would love to be there on February 4th.
Yeah, and so I want to clarify something, because we're doing each of these road shows with the state CPA societies, One thing I don't think we've done a good job of saying is you don't have to be a CPA. You don't have to be a member of the state society to be part of the roadshow. So for Illinois, it's the Illinois CPA Society. For California, it's Cal CPA. It's on their website. You can register there. And if you guys want show notes or anything, I can give you links to those as well.
We would love them. Absolutely. Randy, we could have you on for another 2 hours and happily talk, but we also know that, your time is valuable, and really we know both only our moms listen. So, final thoughts, anything else, that you want to share with Nancy, or what was your mom's name again? Jean?
Char.
Char. That's right.
Char.
All right.
Yeah, Nancy and Char.
Wait, Char or Char? Is it Char for something? Charlene. Okay, because we just had our first grandchild born 10 days ago, and it's Charlotte. So I was thinking maybe Charlotte was, and maybe a coincidence, maybe not, that the conference is in Charlotte and our granddaughter's named Charlotte. I don't know. So
we'll come together.
Yep. Was there a question there, Tyler?
There was. Any parting words of wisdom, advice, call to actions, or court orders you want to serve us about do not solicit you again? Anything.
First off, before I even do that, if you want another soundbite, I'm on every single podcast that exists in the accounting profession. This is the most fun I've ever had. So thank you guys for doing this. It's been a great time. A second is be serious about your mental health. Be serious about your physical health. Be serious about leaning into what you love to do. You don't have to make a transformation overnight, but if you find yourself love working with restaurants, start working with more restaurants. You find yourself love working on state and local tax, try to lean into working more on state and local tax. Find something that you love, something that you're good at, and spend your time there, because when you do that, as I said before, nothing feels like work.
Brilliant. Randy, thank you so much for your time. See you in May. And yeah, you'll get that speaker submission here shortly.
Thank you.
Later, sir.
Well, I would have, Tyler, I would have put out there that my culture and my firm was second to none, but I feel like I could just go work at Randy's firm and it would be as good, probably better. He had a 12-year head start on me, but that sounds fantastic. And so lucky we had him on. But let's get to our next thing. So we have a game, but it's a little bit loose here, where you had this great idea talking about let's reflect on 2025 and talk through what were some of the highs that we had in our firms and the lows. So I just called this high lows. We'll just jump into it. So I'm going to start with a couple of questions, or at least one, and I think it'll be a lot of good dialogue. And the listeners, if you have things that you want to share on your highs and lows, please post that in the Facebook group. We'd love to hear what worked well, what didn't. Questions for us, if we can help, put it out there and we'll jump in there. So first one, I had a budgeted increase of revenue from 24 to 25 of 25%. Do you feel like nonprofit bookkeeping, my firm, came in higher than that or lower?
That I am fairly confident you came in lower.
Yes, came in lower. And maybe this is some, we talk a lot, right? So that maybe a low, but I'm okay with that, right? So, but the one thing I want to say we did well, as potentially as a win, is billing for out of scope things, right? And we talked about how hourly billing, and we don't do that, and I hate it. However, if we're going to revamp a chart of accounts, if we're going to do some of these one-off projects and clean up stuff, we did way better at not saying yes to everything last year than what we've done historically. And I've gotten that better in the firm. And we did $40,000 more in consulting type income based on us being better at keeping the scope in place than we did the year before. So loss that definitely didn't get the increase in revenue that I wanted, but again, I'm okay with that. Positive in that aspect.
Can I just add something here? Because this is one of the few things I feel like Tyler Otto, do better than almost anyone in the world. And I don't do a lot of things better. But there is a rule, because when a client brings up, oh yeah, and can you just restructure these charts of accounts and build this out? And they ask something nonchalant that is totally out of scope, totally time intensive. And it's I don't want to feel like a jerk and well, you got to pay me for that, because so many bookkeepers do either well, I'd have to charge you more, or I'm sorry, like that's not part of our agreement, or okay, yeah, I can do that. And then you say that right then and there, and the client heard yes. And then if you ever bring up money, it's a failure or you eat the cost.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where I got it, but I have mastered the art of anytime they doing that in the moment. I always say, we can absolutely do that. We'll add that to the scope, send it over and get that to you. I always do a yes and. And in the moment, it's, yeah, we can add that to scope. That's totally cool. Because you get that wording right and they instantly hear you have to pay more. And it is one of the things that I've heard people on my team pick up in the last 4 months. It is a game changer if you can get that wording right immediately when they ask. Yeah, we can absolutely add that to scope.
I think that's fantastic. And so like that was going to be my next question, but you kind of covered it, is like, does your team do that too? Because you and I know we're not there for a lot of these conversations. And this is something where I think our team could get better at doing that, because we have our sales manager that handles all that stuff. But yep, we can add that in scope. I'll have Chris give you a message soon, whatever. Yeah. So we're
we'll send the proposal every way. We got you. We got your back.
Yeah. My next question for you following up on this, how detailed is your internal budgeting process? Like, how do you I love this from your face already.
This was not a curated question, Jeremy.
This was not. That's why we just pull off.
Okay, so let's talk about this. My 2025 budget was blown up fairly early in the year, and it's awful. My 2026, I have really dialed in using Reach Reporting and their budgeting tools, and it is very robust, very well done, very excited by client. Like, yeah, I've got really solid metrics, profitability margins by clients. I build it, expecting that 1/3 of my staff's time will be billed directly to clients. Like, not billed like billable hour, but like my cost of sales on direct labor will be 1/3 of overall client revenue. And we track that by pod. Like, we've got some cool stuff going on. So I am much more high on 2026 than I was on 2025.
Okay, I like it. You might have to share those and let me dig into that. But yeah, mine's still like not near as detailed as what you said, but I'm pretty good at like looking through all the things and projecting out by account where we think those things are. And what I've done better is now engaged with like my marketing people and sales people, like what are we going to spend, and giving them a budget for conferences and marketing spend and all of that stuff. So getting better, but I could tell I am not as detailed as you are there. But I like it. All right.
I mean, dare I ask, I, had an anticipated budget increasing revenue just by 15%. Do you think I exceeded that or not?
I'm going to say you did not.
You are correct, sir. I actually look at my revenue, straight up. First year in business, made 250 grand top line. Second year, $500,000. Third year, 750. Fourth year, $1 million. I'm going to finish this year at $1 million. We fired, I think one client had 18 rental properties we were doing, but they were destroying my staff. We fired them. We lost our biggest client last December, right as we were closing out the year. That was like $8,000 a month, or one of our biggest clients. We fired another one that was $6,000 a month across 5 properties. Like, we fired so many bad clients this year, but I kept around good staff because of it. And honestly, like, we'll get into other things, but I've never felt more excited about my business because we spent this year not growing, but getting healthier.
Oh yeah. And that to me is going to pay off dividends way more. Like, as Randy said, we're not client focused. We should be employee focused.
Yep.
Right. And I'm a big proponent of that. So cool. All right. Next one that I have, net operating income.
Ooh.
So improved by more or less than that same 10%. So revenue went up 10% for us, give or take top line. And I still have to do the last year end accrual. We're on the 7th of the month. Don't get on my case. I'm not done with all of our books yet. But do you think that was more or less increased than that 10% top line?
I'm going to say you exceeded it. I'm going to give you some props here.
Yeah, agreed. I did.
Hey,
yeah, somewhere.
Good work, man.
Not done yet, but somewhere in the 55 to 60% better than last year.
Ooh.
Granted, like last year was rough, and so if you're starting numbers low, you can do these things a little better. But yeah, but also just a couple of things I wanted to call out that we had, like, software costs went up $10,000 this year. So like that is something that you need to continue building into some of these things. Also, we did about the same increase in professional fees. Really started to look at like we redid our website, looking at like AI optimization and SEO costs, and then did a bunch more of advertising and emphasizing training. So there were a lot of things kind of built into that, but still was able to increase that. So that one feels pretty good as a win.
Wow. Do you have more questions? I got one for you.
We'll go back and forth. Go for it.
It's a single digit number, but in the course of 1 month, how many employees do you think I had voluntarily leave my firm? And that was the month of like late July, early August.
Oh, a single digit number. Well, I think, can I guess quick? How big is your team right now?
14?
14, and you had a
15?
single digit number. So like,
I think I was like 15, 16 at the time.
okay, 2?
I'm going to give you wrong. I had 4 employees leave in a month. 4. And this is where Jeremy, like, I'm sharing this not because I want to air laundry, but like I want to be real as a firm owner, like to everyone else. It was one of those months that I thought my firm was going to crumble, and it was honestly the most transformative month of my company, and I feel so much better for it. We had team members leave. I found out in 1 month that I had some very dysfunctional, systematic, just processes I put in place. I had a reporting structure I put in place. And it's not that I had employees that were malicious or deceitful. It was I had employees that were actively trying to free me up and hiding issues. And then communication was happening, or at least communication that I thought was happening, that I was passing down, wasn't getting down lower. I abdicated myself thinking, hey, I'm going to be a leader. I ultimately ended up losing 3 employees that, honestly, I am so happy I know all the issues that were there now. I wouldn't hire those people back. And don't get me wrong, they weren't bad. It just, they weren't a right fit. And I ended up eating like $7,000 in penalties and interest fees for stuff that was said to be done that wasn't. And then I lost one amazing rock star that, man, I wish I could have kept that employee. It was a tough month, but what we've learned out of it, me and my assistant, what one of my account managers that's still around, where she told me, like, in the past, Tyler, I was told to never bring these things to you. And I was told to never ask other team members about this. People on my team were told to stay in their silos, which is like so opposite of who I am.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about my company. And again, it wasn't that anyone was malicious. It's they thought that's what this company needed. And I don't know, I'm better for it now. But it was a weird year. But now that I know of all those issues, dude, we have like course corrected 180. Like I feel so high on it because we have fixed that culture issue so strongly. And it was ignorance by me. It was maybe even a willingness by me to stay out of things because I'm like, people will let me know if there's a problem because I was trying to be a leader. So I don't know. It was an interesting year.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, as long as you're always learning from that, it's not a bad thing, right? As long as you're able to sustain and learn from it. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So we've talked about before too. Like I usually have a pretty good employee retention.
Yep.
So my team right now is 22.
Yeah.
I'm going to say how many employees did I lose over the year, and I'm going to give you 4. You go over or under.
I'm gonna go over.
Over. 7 employees during the year.
Wow.
I lost. And like weird, one funny story, like one beginning of the year, one got sick and we just didn't hear from her. And so I call, so you look up their emergency contact, right? And I call up and I'm like, hi, this is Jeremy from Nonprofit Bookkeeping. We're not interested. Click. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So I had to call again and be like, please don't hang up on me, sir. Your wife works at my firm. I just want to make sure she's still alive. So that was probably the most interesting conversation I had over the course of the year. But yeah, out of those 7, half were voluntary, half were not, right? So, but the win I'm going to take out of this, I now have a full-time HR person. The last 2 that we had to let go, I did not have to do anything. That was fantastic.
That does sound lovely. I have not gotten there, but I have had some amazing hires this year. So I don't know. Change is scary, dude. You think like, how could I ever rebuild from this? And then you end up better later on.
Oh yeah.
Kudos to you, man.
Yeah, I think we're looking to replace a couple now, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Do you want to jump in, or I got one more?
I mean, I got one thing we're talking about, but I actually don't even have a question about it. But I feel like I need to give this update.
Okay.
Remember, I lost one of my biggest clients last December.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Guess who came crawling back?
Oh yeah.
And not only that, he had the I don't even know, but just like a positive quality, I want to say. Like the man had the guts to send an email saying, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. You were always great to us. He was never a jerk during the termination. And we just had their onboarding meeting yesterday. And the whole time they were just grinning ear to ear to have us back. And
Nice.
it's one of those things that, you know, another firm trash talked all our financials, which was all just, we weren't getting information from the client and we did the best we could. And now we saw the books that we inherited back, and dude, it's awful. It's awful. And I don't know, it's just one of those things like, don't ever burn bridges. Because I could have easily been salty after all of that. I could have easily pushed send on the email I had typed up twice and then never sent. But I
Right?
didn't push send. Right? And that's the moral of the story, man, is like, you know, the golden rule, dude. Do unto others. It was a big win for us, another $7,000 a month back in the door. And just, I don't know, a morale boost for my team. The people that used to work on them, they're like, can I work on them again? And they're so excited. So yeah, great story.
Yeah, we've had not quite that big, but we've had one come back like that. So first of all, just make you feel good, right? That like you still are doing a good job, but also that client, I would argue, has a vulnerable leader if he can come back and do that. So that's great for them too. Cool. All right, one quick last one. I know we're getting long here. Separated clients. So number of clients that left us during the year. We've been trying so hard to get to 100 clients, Tyler. Like that's been a goal. It's out there. Haven't got there yet. So separated clients, I'm going to give you 15. Is it over or under?
You separated from them or they separated from you?
Just
or both?
all together, all around left us.
I'm going to take the over, Bob.
Over again. And I'll qualify that. It was 25.
Wow.
That's like 5, but 5 of them were like limited term ones. So if we look at our offboarding, it's like, hey, we came in to do a specific thing, got that done, came out there. So 4 of them we fired, mostly because they were a bad culture fit. And then 1 was shady. We got that. But so like only like 9 or 10 of them left just because like we weren't doing something or some were too small and couldn't afford us anymore and things like that. But there was only one big loss that we had, and we've done better about this, is I know a lot of people do standard pricing increases, right?
Yep.
Like, hey, it happens every time. Well, because nonprofits and they budget and all that, we review all of this before we send it through. And there was one where it was like, they're not in our niche, they're a for-profit. And they're a smaller amount, but we are making 80-90% margins on it, and I just said, nope, push it through. We pushed that through, and they're like, nope, it's too much for us, you're done. And I was like, yeah, we should have made a better decision on that one and just kind of let it ride, because would have been fine, but live and learn, and now we look at it a little closer.
I've got one client that they're a bigger one where I'm probably like, we should probably not execute their increase this year. We should probably just go to them and be like, yep, no, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Not worth nickel and diming you. We're already making our happy margins on you, and that probably will earn a trust. And it's not like, and the thing I also like need to make sure is if I do that, I need to tell them, right? Like earn the trust, not just like quietly not charge them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just say, hey, we've been able to get more efficient. We're happy with the margins. So you know what? We're just not going to execute your increase this year. Have a good one.
Yeah, exactly. And when we don't do that, we do that communication every time too. Is like, hey, we've looked at this, we've been able to keep things, and so yeah, no increase this time. So yeah, a wonderful 2025 of highs and lows.
All right, maybe next episode you and I need to talk about goals, or one of these upcoming episodes, like what are we going to do in 26, like almost a little accountability game on here.
Oh god.
But
okay,
unfortunately, Jeremy, we are at the end of the episode, so
all right. And with that, we'll do winner of the week. I am going to proclaim myself the winner of the week because I was off for 3 weeks, another day over 3 weeks, and my firm went strong. I think like it was good timing around the holidays, right? Like a lot of people are just kind of chilling out, but no huge fires. No, the wheels are still on the wagon, Everything is good there. My number 2 in command only yelled at me for one thing that I did stupid, which is way under probably what the odds Vegas would have put on the number stupid things Jeremy had going out there. So yeah, I was pretty fantastic coming back.
Is there any learnings or like things that you look at retrospectively like, wow, I am so happy I prepped for it by doing this? Or like, here's like, for those of us that just live in fear of leaving our employees alone, not because we don't trust them, because we feel like we've just done a poor job of setting them up for success. Like, I don't know, what would you recommend?
Well, you've seen a lot of people saying like, here's my word for 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So my firm word for 2026 is communication, right? So communication and having a plan, right? So I think anytime we have never gotten in trouble being late with anything or missing this certain thing, if we've given that communication ahead of time that, hey, this is why, or we need this yet, or this is what happened, or whatnot. So I think the fact that I communicated this well and very early, people had 9 months advance notice that I was going to be gone on this. And then also had a plan in place of like, hey, you're going to run point here, here, and here on these clients. And there's no clients anymore that I own. There's still a couple of them that I support pretty heavily with the CFO or controller type stuff. So yeah, communication, have a plan.
I love it. I love it. And our loser of the week.
Loser of the week are cheetahs, and not the fast cat, but the people who do not stick to the letter of the law. This story came out that the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, which is like the international AICPA, where you can get your CPA credentials, came out and said they are no longer going to support remote CPA exam taking because of all of the cheating that people have been seeing and using AI and all of that. So pretty much going to be all in-house. My favorite quote from this was, let's not kid ourselves. It's not just the technology. There are other ways that people cheat. Formulas up your arm, things down your sock. I don't quite understand. God knows, mirrors and everything. Love that quote. But yeah, if you're going to do this internationally, you're going to the testing center. I'm sure they have like a huge Wi-Fi break or like cellular data break and all of that stuff that you can't cheat. So keep it on the up and up, folks.
Wow. That's interesting. As someone who, the moment I'm done coaching comp soccer this year, I'm going back to get my CPA. I'm going to sit this year, Jeremy. Well, I'm going to start sitting. So we'll see if that happens.
That sounds like an early 2026 goal throwdown.
Yeah, I know, right? Dude, I am not coaching again. I can't keep up with this commitment. It's killing me.
Oh, yeah.
But Jeremy, that is all the time we have for this week. So make like a check and let's bounce. See you next week, sir.
It ain't easy. In fact, it's hard. It's downright tough growing a firm from a solopreneur to a massive team. I often get asked by people, Tyler, who mentored you? And you know what? It shows, because no one did. I made tons of mistakes on the way learning how to grow my firm from just me to the $1 million firm it is today. And so, when people ask Tyler, do you mentor or coach? I say no, no one should be subjected to that much of me. But what we did do is bottle up every best practice, tool, resource, template, and walkthrough that we could and package it all into what we're calling the Firm Foundation. Head over to thefirm.foundation to get access to our library of resources, tools, templates, and instructions on how you can scale your firm faster and get all the tools and resources you need to make your team successful and ultimately get yourself out of the business. Head on over as we're releasing out how to do bookkeeping workflows, tax workflows, metrics, fractional CFO, and more. So get on over, Firm Foundation, sign up for our next release, and we can't wait to see you there. Thanks.